Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pro Tour Review with Goblin Ringleader. Now we're just going to jump right to it. Super excited to go over some coverage today of Pro Tour Dark Ascension. Two legends battling it out in a monumental moment. This is Brian Kibler playing, I believe it's Gruul Ramp, also known as Red Green Monsters, up against, looks like Blue or Esper Spirits, piloted by John Finkel. Both these players, Pro Tour Hall of Famers, absolute legends. I would save this video, go back and watch this video again and again, with or without my commentary. You decide. While you're doing that, please drop a like and a subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. I'm going to be doing a lot of Pro Tour reviews coming up, and I do a lot of standard, modern, Pioneer, sometimes even Legacy gameplay on the channel. I also do Pauper, just not as often. But if you drop a comment and you say you love Pauper, I might do some more. Honestly, I'm just trying to do as much stuff as I can to contribute to the Magic community. I owe a lot to Magic. You know, it's where I grew up. I grew up in card stores. I love playing Magic, and it's helped me grow up. As I've gotten older, it's helped me learn about sequencing and how to how to carry yourself. It's really helped me a lot, and so if there's anything I can do to give back to the community, I want to do that. So just a really typical start for both players here. We have Ponders, Drogskol Captains being taken out, Mana Leaks being used. We don't really get to see the graveyard by Brian Kibler, but we can assume that there's been a couple of removal spells played because that Drogskol Captain's not in play. A Slagstorm, Primeval Titan, and double Inferno Titan to hand here for Brian Kibler. Snap Mana Leak takes care of that Primeval Titan in short order. However, Brian's kind of fine with this because his hand remains to be double Inferno Titan. And if you know anything about Inferno Titan, you know that it ends games very quickly. So if we go playback speed, we're still at only 1 time speed. This shows you the speed of Pro Tour players. Look at how fast Brian takes his turns. Look at how fast he plays his cards. He now in double speed, he looks like he's a monster, whereas John is looking like he's properly going double speed. Brian's like, psh, psh, psh. Playing Inferno Titan, kill the Drogskol Captain and the Delver. Because, again, the Drogskol Captain gives other spirits you control +1/+1, and hexproof, but it does not give itself hexproof. The tap down creature taps down the Inferno Titan. However, another Inferno Titan kills the spirit, unlocking the first Inferno Titan, and now John's in a really tough spot. Even though he's ahead on life, he has a kind of slower hand. He can go double Phantasmal. He can go Phantasmal Image Drogskol. The issue with that being, if he taps out into double Inferno Titan, he really can't do much. Now, John can't target his creatures, but he can just go upstairs, burn him for 6, and then attack for another 12. And John says, "Well, that's 18, and I can't beat those Inferno Titans. Inferno Titans real good. Yeah, get into your 6 drops, putting it in play, and just trying to hope that your opponent doesn't have more counter spells. Sometimes it's what you got to do." Two absolute legends here. Again, if you want to look up two people's resumes or pedigrees in Magic, I would say John Finkel and Brian Kibler are the two people to look up. You also can look up a couple other people, Kai Buddha, Louis Scott Vargas. There's a lot of amazing Magic players. Paulo Vito Damadorosa. There's so many amazing Magic players, and that's why I love the games, because there's always going to be somebody who's just so much better than you that you can watch and you can learn from. That's why I love watching these old Pro Tour matches. There's a lot to be gained from these old games. Oh, maybe they show their... Oh, this is the sideboard. All right, so John's got access to a Celestial Purge, Divine Offering, Revoke Existence, 2 Dungeon Geist, Phantasmal Image, and Mana Leak. And he looks like he's going to be cutting... No. Negate, Dissipate, Dismember, Gut Shot, Surgical, and Demystify. They're all 1s. I was like, wait, but you're right. If it's a bunch of 1s, they can have 15 1s. So really nice sideboard for John Finkel here, showing that he's prepared for a wide field, not really going to lock himself into anything specific. Do they show Brian's sideboard? Yeah, 2 Naturalize, 2 Ancient Grudge, 2 Combust, 2 Beasts Within, 2 Thrundalast Troll, a Whip Flare, an Autumn Veil, a Garruk Primal Hunter, and 2 Karn Liberated. So if he needs to against control, he can just slam big dumb threats, kind of like literally Tron does, like literal Tron. But he's like, John's like, oh, I got bulldozed by those Inferno Titans. So he's like, yay, take the mulligan, please. He's like, I don't want to lose here. And Brian, ever a sportsman, is like, yeah. He's like, you're keeping that? He's like, yeah, that's a good hand. I like that one. Probably got Snap and Mana Leak and enough lands to cast it. John's like, oh, I needed lands really bad. It's like, I can't just play my 6 drops with 2 lands. Ever stoic in the face of a mulligan. Smile and a laugh. 2 Pro Tour players, both playing. The game at this point for them is second nature. They're just enjoying where they are with life. I listened to somebody's they recapped their experience in Magic, and they were like, well, I used to play on the like this was them talking. They were like, I used to play on the pro scene. Like I never really won a pro tour, but I top 8'd a couple, and you traveled around. Okay. We're waiting. And we're back. Now we're going to share our screen. Apologies for that. So we're going to go back quite a bit. Was that hand game 1 that he looked at? I'm going to rewind real quick in the live so I can tell what I missed. So we only got 5 minutes in. The last thing that we remember. Okay, so we got through game 1. We went to sideboards. And the ponder happened. And then the game froze. Okay, so the beginning of game 2, ponder happens. We're streaming. Going back to now. This is all working. No, what? Yes, go follow Magic the Gathering if you're not following Magic the Gathering. And support these videos. Okay, so now it's working. We're back to where we need to be. John plays a ponder. Brian plays a Copperline Gorge and passes. Plays an Evolving Wilds, passes it back. Rampant Growth, Evolving Wilds is cracked. They kind of are both mana fixing right now, even though Brian's only playing 2 colors. His mana fixing is just ramping. Whereas John has to make sure that he has all 3 colors. Hand of double Mana Leak, Delver, 2 lands, double Drog Skull Captain. Pretty legit here from John Finkel. Looks like we got a Huntmaster, Galvanic, Slagstorm, Mountain from Brian Kibler. I would not be surprised here to see it pass because your opponent has 2 open mana, which represents a mana leak. You want to incentivize them to just tap out every turn. As soon as they tap out, you slam your high impact threat. You don't want to die to a counterspell, especially if you can just take your time and play around it. As a ramp deck, you have the ability to eventually get to a point where you can double spell, and then you can deploy a slightly less threatening spell into the counterspell, or you can leave up the mana to pay for your mana leak and get your spell through. This ponder, taking a second for John Finkel, really considering his options here. Down a game, so he's got to make sure that he plays his cards right here. Leaves it on top, draws the Lingering Souls, casts Souls, making 2 1/1s. With the double Drog Skull in hand, this is going to be a pretty efficient clock. But this is the opportunity that Brian needed to gain 2 life and get a 2/2 Wolf. Now, if John chooses to get aggressive, Brian can also get aggressive, and I believe that Brian's deck goes a little bit faster than John's, as we saw in game 1 with double Inferno Titan. So, Huntmaster of the Fells coming down. Last turn allows Brian to really just sit here. If he wants to, he can just play a land and actually pass. And John is confused, but then Brian goes, "Oh, well, I'm just going to take out a spirit and use the spirit that I killed to swap out the other spirit, so they all look the same. Continuity." John has the ability now to go double Lord, but Brian not tapping out, representing burn here. John has to take a second to think. Is it worth it to try to be aggressive? Opponent's at 24, facing down a Huntmaster that fells. If he double spells, the Huntmaster will flip back, gaining him 2 life and making him a 2/2. But your spirits will be 3/3s. So I think John arrives on the fact that he has to force Brian to burn it now. And Brian tanks because he has a Slag Storm. The Slag Storm can wipe his opponent's board. And if his Ravager was still a Ravager, then it would be a 4/4. But because he double spelled, it's going to flip back into a 2/2. So now he's trying to figure out, he was probably just going to let his opponent deploy, like John, deploy 2 threats and then Slag Storm, clean up the whole board. But now he has the opportunity with his Galvanic just to take out the Drog Skull before the Phantasmal Image enters. And he elects to kill the Drog Skull with the Phantasmal Image on the stack, is what I believe is happening. Yeah. Attacks for 3, so 21. Flips back, gains 2. No, okay, so the Phantasmal Image somehow became the Drog Skull, which I don't understand how it burned it. There's something that I'm missing. But anyways, the Huntmaster is going to flip back, gain 2. Brian just plays a land and immediately passes back, again, utilizing this Huntmaster Ravager flip to just murder things for free and leave cards in his hand. John at 14 now. Facing down a 4/4. And if he double spells, then Brian's going to gain another 2 life and make another 2/2. And then he can just pass back and immediately shock something again. So this Huntmaster of the Fells is showing how powerful it is if you just sit there and your opponent is a tempo-based deck that has to double spell every turn. Plays a Drog Skull, attacks for 2 in the air. Brian says that's fine. Passes it back. Now his Ravager is a 4/4. So it's going to survive this Slag Storm. Mana Leak here, really good. Double blocks 1 of the 2/2s, kills trades. I would slam the Slag Storm all day long. However, if he just passes it back, plays around this Mana Leak, holds the Slag Storm for when John has no cards in hand, and he has enough mana to play around it. Cards in hand are land, Slag Storm. And Brian might be thinking, you only cast 1 spell, so nothing happens. And then he also didn't cast a spell, but it doesn't flip if you don't cast a spell. It's only if you cast 2. If a player casts 2. So now John's just leaving up mana, attacking in the air. Top deck Inferno Titan. Trying to think, should he attack first before casting the Slag Storm? Slag Storms now. Mana Leak, pay, Mana Leak, countered, combat, 6, block, trade. That 2/2 should be dead, I believe. Flips, makes another 2/2. John goes to combat and attacks in the air. Taps down the Huntmaster. Untaps, upkeeps, draws. Plays an Inferno Titan, kills it. Oh, he points to it saying, I can't kill this. I have to kill your Drog Skull and ping you for 1. Eat one of them. Pass. Judges are like, wait, one of those tokens should be dead, maybe? Let me go back. Because he has a Drog School captain. So that spirit is a 2/2. The wolf, I don't think that the Huntmaster buffs wolves +1/+1. So the spirit should trade with the wolf. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure. And it looks like that's probably what they're talking about here. Brian's trying to explain what he remembers. It might be oh, I forgot that he had a lord. Now what do I do because I forgot that he had a lord? He says, I don't believe they're going over to Paulo while they get this sorted out. And it's the awesome Jund control deck with acidic slime and a bunch of Grave Titans versus Huntmaster and the red green ramp deck. Same deck that Brian Kilber's playing, but by Paulo Vito Damarosa. Another amazing pilot. Again, this is on 2x speed for your viewing pleasure. Now, Huntmaster flips back because his opponent, or because he double spelled, passes to his opponent, who draws, has Ghost Quarter and Ink Moth. I think you really have to take out the Kessig if you're Mamoru. If you're Mamoru Nagai, then okay, so he's going, I'm going to animate both my Ink Moths and attack with my 2/2 because I also have a Kessig. He says, okay, I'm going to do this. Block trade with the 2/2s. Going to tap Ancient Grudge the Ink Moth. One of the Ink Moths. Then plays Solemn. Filters, has a body that replaces itself. Solemn's really cool in Standard. When you can go Rampant Growth into Solemn, it's like, oh. Counts the mana, says, can you just kill me with your Ink Moth? It's like, no. Maybe. Don't think they have a poison counter here, so we'll try to keep track of that. I think Paulo's at 1 poison. Paulo. Oh, there we go. 1 poison. Yes. And it says it right there. Nagai is at 3 poison. Attacks with the Ink Moth, buffs it with a Kessig, Ghost Quarters, goes and gets a basic. Ravager flips, killing the bird. Doesn't want to give him a draw, which makes sense. Rampant Growth is the hand? Is that what I saw? I think so. Top decks a swamp, passes or attacks for 2, buffs it to high hell, leaving back the Ink Moth as a chump blocker. However, a Kessig gives trample, no cards in hand for his opponent, and he's got a naturalize and an acidic slime. Really good cards here. Paulo sitting at 5 life and 1 poison. However, he's thinking Might be able to kill my opponent. Very close match. Paulo, also a Hall of Famer. Acidic Slime, kill the Ink Moth. Animate, attack. 5. 5 poison and 7 life is what they should be at. Or maybe 8 life, yeah. Infect is a replacement effect. Attacks with a Solemn. Block. Naturalize. Oh my god! Naturalize is so good! Naturalize for the win. Oof. The Solemn being an artifact coming down to being why it died. Naturalize crushing. Okay, talking about the Pro Tour schedule. Let's get back to the booth and going eventually back to these games. So looks like we're jumping back with Paulo and Nagai. Green Suns for Birds. Green Suns shuffling back in. Doing a pretty good modern impression right here in this standard match. So we got an Ancient Grudge hitting the Mana Rock and 2 Ink Moths in play. Ink Moth plus Kessig used to be a really good combo with Prime Time in standard. We're watching these decks go Rampant Growth into Simulacrum or Solemn, and then right into Prime Time. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4. When you turn 4 a Prime Time in standard, that's a drug. I swear to God. You're watching your opponent go, oh no. They're playing Commander, and they're just like, they don't even need the Crater Hoof. The Prime Time's good enough. But Mamoru's deck is really cool because he plays Grave Titan. He plays basically a control package, and he just kind of stomps your face in with these giant Titans. So it's cool to see 3 Titans here in the top 8 of this Pro Tour. Primeval Titan, Inferno Titan, and Grave Titan. Now, traditionally, we know which one's better in Modern, but which one's better in Standard? Let's find out. Paulo untapping. Looking at a board that's pretty effed up. Thinking he can Green Suns for ramp and then try to Prime Time. He can Acidic Slime. He can do a bunch of different things, but I think he's just really behind right here. Elects to go set up the combo. He's got 2 Ink Moths. He can go get a Kessig. And another Ink Moth. Another red source. Trying to do the math. He's really struggling because this Grave Titan doesn't get... chooses not to get the Kessig, saying, I'm just going to try to kill you with these flying 1/1s with poison. Immediately go for the throats, the Prime Time, and the red zone. Paulo just conceding at 18, saying, you're going to have so many zombies, I really can't stop you. This Galvanic is looking really bad. I think I want to play this Slag Storm instead. Even though Slag Storm's not the greatest, it can take out those zombies and help you live long enough to maybe hit your opponent in the air with a infecting attacker. If we skip along to the next game. Back. Looks like we're playing the next game. We'll probably see the results on screen. A Rampant Growth being resolved. Tied 1-1. Okay. So it looks like that might have cost him, that mistake may have cost him a game. And, Brian just got to play on here, take a deep breath, reset. And that's how the legends play. Sometimes you make a mistake, and it happens, but you gotta keep shuffling the cards and keep going. And we're gonna jump back into this. Let's see. I think John has a full grip of 7 cards, just pondered, looking at 3 mana leaks. No. A dungeon crawl, 2 dungeon crawlers, a mana leak, Drog Skull Captain, a Dissipate, and 3 lands. Brian activates Ink Moth, pinging, dealing some damage with the Inky Boy, and has an Inferno Titan, Galvanic Discharge, Whip Flare, Slag Storm. His hand is gas, or should I say fire? It's fire! It's so good. Now, I think in this spot, John's just going to try to play the control deck. Like, Gitaxian Probe is kind of okay. It looks to me like John drew another Gitaxian Probe off that Gitaxian Probe. A Thrun coming down, uncounterable, and John saying, okay, well, I have to now just race. Like, I'm going to die to this Ink Moth. I'm going to die to this Thrun. Like, Brian doesn't even have to play spells for the rest of the game. Gitaxian Probe, he says they are the same cards. John says, great. I drew a Delver. Now how can I race? Thinking whether or not activating the Ink Moth and just leaving up mana is worth it, or if he wants to tap out, start playing some spells. But John's got mana up, and so he doesn't really want to do anything. Whip Flare here, cleaning up the board real nice. Has enough mana to pay for the mana leak. Just attacking in with the Thrun and saying, I can regenerate this till Kingdom Come. Making exile a creature card from his graveyard, make a spirit. Untaps, has infinite counter spells in his hand, but he's just going to die to this Thrun. Attempting to race, playing a Phantasmal Image. The old rulings were when 2 legends with the same name entered, they would die. So he targets the Thrun. It's not, sorry, it doesn't target, it's an as. So as Phantasmal enters as a copy of Thrun, they both die. So that's the only way that John could really kill that Thrun here, is with a weird legend rule. He's going to exile the Phantasmal Image from his graveyard to make another 1/1 White Spirit. Now he can go Drog Skull or Lingering Souls, whichever one he thinks is going to push more damage. Lingering Souls first, Drog Skull second, gives you the most amount of damage over time. John slowly catching up, playing a Huntmaster here. Able to play around Mana Leak. Saying, that's fine. You can have that too. That's totally fine. Then passes it back to John, who untaps and draws. I believe that human token is a spirit token. I could be wrong. I love the pile of tokens on the Pro Tour table next to the can of nuts from Brian Kibler. Respect. You gotta stay fed. And the nuts are the brain food for sure. Thinking, can I race here? I'm at 13. If he has a Drog Skull Captain, I kind of just die. Land pass, saying don't have it. He knows that he has a Galvanic Discharge. He says, I didn't play anything, so this flips for sure. I'm going to shoot the human for continuity's sake. He goes upstairs with the... It looks like he went upstairs with the damage, putting John to 8. There's a dungeon crawler off screen that we don't see. He's got Slagstorm, Galvanic Blast, Inferno Titan. All the firepower in the world. Attacking just for 4. Animating Inkmoth trading. Or Animating Inkmoth blocking the Dungeon Geist is what it looks like. He Huntmaster shocked the Dungeon Geist in the upkeep. That's what it was. And then blocked with the 1/1 trading with the Dungeon Geist, unlocking his Huntmaster, or I should say Ravager. Thinking about the Lingering Souls here as a blocker. Decides, wants to look at the most cards. I mean, that Purge is pretty damn good. So if he puts the Purge on top and the Delver beneath it and then draws, the issue is he has another Ponder in that pile of 3. And if he puts the Ponder on the top, then he can just draw 2 cards this turn, and he can have both the Delver and the Celestial Purge in his hand. Question being, does he want all 3 of these cards? Probably. Probably put the Delver on the bottom, or second from the bottom, and you take the Purge right now. You draw the Delver next turn. Draws the Purge. Being able to take out that Ravager is really good. Hits the Ravager, preventing Brian from being able to gain 2 life and make a 2/2 on his turn, and just passes it back, holding up Snap, Mana Leak. Attacks for 2. John goes to 4. Drew another Thrun. Decides to Slagstorm. He has a Dissipate. Hard counter. Not a Mana Leak. Passes it over. Really close games here. Really close games. Now, being able to play this Thrun would be amazing. The issue is, oh, and he has the mana to just play Thrun, so I should just shut up. The tempo here is huge, even though it can be chumped with the Lingering Souls in the grave. Oh no, he doesn't have a Lingering Souls in the graveyard. It can get chump blocked to High Heaven by any of these Spirit tokens. That Lingering Souls, there we go, we found it. He decides to put the land on top. That's interesting. He's like, this Ponder is really hard because you sequence what your next draw is going to be. And you're at 4 life. So this Inferno Titan, if it comes down and it resolves, you just lose. Draws the land. Has a creature in the graveyard to block. Attacks for 4. Puts his opponent to 5. Plays the land, flashes back the Lingering Souls. Passes it back. He needed that swamp because it's his black source. That's his only black source on his entire field. Top deck was a Green Suns, looks like. Brian's got to remember what it's in his deck. That's tough. I think probably go for Huntmaster here. Slams the Inferno Titan. Plays Snapcaster Dissipate, exiling the Inferno Titan, attacking for 6. Block. Masterfully played here by John, just grinding his opponent out. Galvanic Discharge your face, and then he says, no, I was ready for that. Did he counter that? Make sure he counted that. Oh no, he goes. Oh, he goes galvanic discharge your face. I think he went galvanic discharge your face for the win. Because isn't galvanic 4 to any target? And he had the artifact. So it should say Finkel leads 2-1. If my assessment is correct, turn 1 Delver. Turn rampant growth. Okay, so he lost. Very interesting. I just want to make sure that I saw that right. So if we go back right here. So he attacks with the 2. Oh, that's what it is. So what did he? Hits a spirit, and John goes, well, I have this. Now I have a question. This artifact, it doesn't sacrifice itself when you tap it for mana the last time. So you could tap it for a red and then go upstairs, dealing his opponent 4. Am I missing something? Doesn't the Galvanic deal 4 to a player? Let me know in the comments down below if I'm crazy. But I think Brian could have just hit John in the air. With the Galvanic to the face for 4. Unless that artifact sacks itself when you tap it, in which case that would not work. Let's jump into the next game. Turn 1, Delver. Turn 1, tapped Rootbound Craig from Brian Kilber into a turn 2 Rampant Growth. Turn 2 flips a Delver from John Finkel. Attacks for 3 in the air, putting Brian down to 17. Another Rampant Growth, just saying, I'm going to ramp much faster than you can deploy your lands. He's trying to figure out, well, now I have to play like counter spells every turn because he's going to play such high impact threats. Like he's slamming an Inferno Titan next turn, folks. This doesn't feel right. Yeah, Rampant Growth into 6 drops is pretty strong. Opponent plays a Lingering Souls. Brian just being able to grab 2 Ink Moths, pass it back. Now John's looking at his hand. Phantasmal Image is pretty good. Plays Island, thinking. Attacks for 2, plays the tap down Dungeon Geist, and passes it back. Brian's got the Huntmaster, the Inferno Titan, and I think a Whip Flare. No Inferno Titan, just a Whip Flare. Plays the Huntmaster, gains 2, goes to 17, makes it 2-2, and says, okay, I gotta start doing stuff. Meanwhile, John has nothing but gas in his hand. Plays a Phantasmal Image as a copy of Huntmaster. No, probably Drog Skull. Says, yeah, you can copy your Drog Skull. That's good. He feels very behind, and he looks very behind here. However, that Drog Skull is going to be pretty good. So he blocks the Dungeon Geist, making it a 2-2. The perfect number here for this Whip Flare. Oh, and he just top decked another Whip Flare, slamming them both because his opponent is tapped out, dealing 4 to each non-artifact creature, clearing his opponent's entire board, hitting his own Huntmaster, but that's fine because he's got this Primeval Titan. Awesome moment there, slamming double Whip Flare, getting 2 more lands to power up this Inkmoth. Or no, because he didn't attack. Yes. Next turn. Makes 2 more things, but then passes it, and this Inferno Titan is gonna be doing some work. I mean, Primeval Titan's gonna be doing some work. Grabbing probably another Inkmoth and a Kessig. Just grab all the Inkmoths. Go as wide as possible. Your opponent's gonna trade with them, but that's fine. Dismember the Primeval Titan. -5, -5. After blocking with the Spirit. And then Green Sun is going to search for the Primeval Titan to put it right back into play, grabbing the Kessig and the land, allowing this Primeval Titan to just get so damn big. And then you see the power here of going Rampant Growth into Rampant Growth, even in Standard. Like, this is insane. Yeah, he can pump one of these Inkmoths. This top deck double Whip Flare was very, very good. Brian was very behind. He probably shouldn't have won this game if not for that double Whip Flare. And Primeval Titan grabbing Inkmoth's very, very strong. Now, John's in a really tough spot because I don't think any one card in John's deck is really good enough. He's looking at these 2 snaps in his hand like, I want you to be Celestial Purges, please. And he just has Lingering Souls in the graveyard. He's got a Dismember. Which member? That one. He can use it to kill his opponent's stuff. It's top deck Inferno Titan. John is pleading with Brian, stop what you're doing. John flicking these 2 Snapcaster Mages, Ambush Vipers at best. Trying to think, how can he turn this game around? Inferno Titan enters, bolting his face. Attack trigger. Getting 2 lands. Snap, block, dismember. I mean, in response, you can pump for 2. So it'll be 8 -5 is 3, trample for 2. Take 2, go to 12. I mean, this is just like really close game. This Inferno Titan is going to win this game, and it does. Wow. Oh, Brian. He probably was like, oh, I'm losing this game. And then the Magic God said, nah, fam, you got this, bro. Takes a deep breath in a pile shuffle, runs it back. Turn. Final game, tied 2-2. Pro Tour Magic at its best. Huntmaster Galvanic, Decimate, Green Sun Zenith, 3 lands. 1 Inkmoth among them. It's a very strong hand. Untap, keep draw. He does that before he draws. He pays 2 in his opponent's end step. And it goes to his. Let me make sure. Oh, Gitaxian Probe draws. That's why. I was like, why did he draw? Okay. Plays a Ponder and passes it back. Opponent plays land, pass. Copperline Gorge, probably. We're having a bunch of land passing here because your opponents got early game interaction in the form of counter spells, and then you got late game bombs. So you really just want to get to the late game as fast as possible. John really incentivized to hold up interaction the entire time, not ever tap out, never give Brian an opportunity to slam triple Rampant Growth like he did in that last game, or double Rampant Growth even. Having 4 mana up here, just a lot of interaction being threatened. Brian saying, I can punish that. You don't have any creatures in your graveyard. You can't make a spirit yet. And so I'm just going to play my lands, pass the turn, get you down, hit some infect on you. Looks like John's got that Celestial Purge, so Brian has to do a little bit more work than usual, only really hitting his Huntmaster and his Inferno Titans, but those are the good ones. What is that? So we got a Huntmaster coming down, we have a Mana Leak, and we have this must be the old school version of Veil of Summer. Must say flash, creature spells you control cannot be counted this turn. And John saying, oh no, I spent my Mana Leak. It literally was cast, but just didn't work. Because Brian had a sideboard card that was very good. Basically his version of Cavern of Souls. Being able to stop your opponents from countering your spells is one of the most powerful things you can do if you're not playing counters. If you're playing quote-unquote fair magic, trying to attack with creatures or get a combo down, cards like Veil of Summer and Cavern of Souls, just allowing yourself to get what you need to get done without your opponent stopping you, it's very strong. The Ponder triple lands here for John. John, like, okay, I want one land, but 3 for the next 3 turns? Not worth it. So instead, he shuffles, presents it back, looking for 1 land and probably 2 spells on top. There we go. Now, plays the Evolving Wilds, holds up 2 mana and passes. Now Brian's got a handful of awesomeness. He's got 4, looks like 3 lands, Decimate, Galvanic, Green Suns, Rampant Growth. Plays the Green Suns, leaving up a mana, representing the 1 mana spell that he used to stop this opponent's counter. Even though he didn't have it, a little bit of psychology being used there. John not willing to be punished twice. Attacks, snap, jumping in front of a token. Double Huntmaster here in play. Protour Dark Ascension. Maybe won by Huntmaster of the Fells. Really wanted this card to be good. Celestial Purge, taking care of one of them. Really wanted this card to be good now. I wish that we could play Huntmaster still. Remember the days when Snapcaster Mage and Huntmaster of the Fells were like the thing? This is standard, which is so cool. So, Drogskol Captain, Lingering Souls, the hand, and one other card, the hand for John Finkel. Looking at his top cards, looks like a last card might be another Snapcaster Mage. Decides to shuffle, needs answers, literal, factual, actual answers to kill his opponent's things instead of ifs. It looks like it's a Snap, a Lingering Souls, a Drogskol, and a Dungeon Geist. Dungeon Geist, a 4-mana 3/3 spirit. When it enters, you tap down an opponent's creature, and it stays tapped as long as you control it. So, attack for 2 in the air here. The attack for John. Untap up, keep, draw. Plays draws a Galvanic, thinking whether or not he wants to ramp or attack. Because his opponent's not able right now. They can make a 1/1 spirit, so it's not worth attacking the Yangmoths. End step, snap, Celestial Purge, taking care of both Ravagers with 1 card. Snap showing its power here. However, the counter magic is now out of John Finkel's hand. I take it back. There's a snap and a negate. So if he wants, he can keep doing what he's doing. This must feel very powerful for John. You're playing with modern level cards, modern legacy banned cards, Gentaxian Probe, and infinite power, infinite decisions. Pays 2 mana, plays a thing, ramps with the rampant growths, getting a mountain, passing it back, just deck thinning a little bit. really thinking about Drog Skull Captain is like the easiest way for John to win this game. If you can just go, here's one lord, here's another lord. I don't think Brian has a good way of stopping that aggro in the air. Attacks for 2 here, put it to 10. Maybe, oh, he has double Galvanic. Or no, he has Galvanic and Decimate. So even though John has a negate, Decimate cannot be countered. So if he goes for a Drog Skull Captain, plays a land, decides to just play it slow, leave up his permission as often as possible. This is just 5. Put you to 6. We're chilling. Another Lingering Souls. Passes it back. Attacks for 2. Another artifact ramp thing. Galvanic your face. Galvanic your face. Galvanic your face. And it's won by Galvanic to the face. Being able to deal 4 damage for 1 mana. That's 12. And that's a crazy way to win. Behind on the board, but just holding your burn spells for the last possible moment. And he's like, wow, that's insane. But thank you all so much for watching. This was the semifinals of Pro Tour Dark Ascension. And yeah, we'll be back on tonight at 10:30 roughly for another live stream. Till then, I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Guys, gals, y'all, have a beautiful day.